You're listening to 12 Degrees Freely with Madeline Andrews, striving to level the playing field so people can be, do, and have the life they always wanted. Hi, Madeline Andrews here, also known as the Energy Diva. In today's episode, we're going to look at exposure beyond your comfort zone. You know, one of the most humbling multitude of experiences that I've been honored to have is being a spiritual advisor, both privately and professionally for about 30 years now. It's one of those occupations and situations where friends and acquaintances, but mostly strangers, open up and share what's going on in their hearts and in their heads. But there has been so much that's been gifted to me during those experiences. There's a great level of trust for a person to open up, confide, and bare his or her soul to me while listening to my interpretation of what the cards, well, really what the energy is saying, as well as what messages Spirit has for me to relay. At first, when I realized I had gifts that had been passed down, I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. But as I started working with more people while simultaneously growing and learning more about the world of spirit, paranormal experiences, supernatural experiences, and energy, I thought, whoa, this is aligned with my purpose. I would do psychic fairs and would be amazed at how many walks of life would be there. And yet you'd never know what a person was going through or had been through just by looking at them. I remember one time this client came in and he was wearing what was comfortable to him. Plaid shirt, blue jeans, cowboy boots. And I thought, oh boy. And I remember when he left, I asked, can I have a hug? And that's because it was one of the best readings where we really connected and had a dynamic conversation in the spirit. But he also made me face that silly little stereotype I had when he first walked up. All this little, petty, silly stuff we hold on to and thinks means something because we thought it did, don't mean jack crap in the world of spirit and energy. I mean, I could have a day where 5 people who look and live nothing alike would tell me the exact same story of what they had been through or are currently going through. And I'd say to myself, dang, I just heard that. Or someone would tell me something that I could completely relate to because either I had been through it or was currently going through it. And if you're truly working in the spirit, you're paying attention to what's coming out of your mouth too, because guess what? You need to hear it as well. Spirit talks. Energy talks. Stillness does speak, Eckhart Tolle. But you never know just by looking at a person what he or she is going through. Not unless they tell you. Sometimes I'd have to pull it out of a person because of the card layout. The current energy would depict it in the layout and spirit would speak. And you can say what you want about tarot, that northeast, south, and west, but those 78 cards that comprise the major and minor arcana cards in a tarot deck are based off of the tree of life. You know, that other tree in Genesis, as well as numerology, colorology, symbology, the elements expressed in terms of 4, not 5 like in Eastern tradition where metals included. Supernal triangles are sacred geometry, Kabbalah science, angels, and archangels. It's one of the most engaging and compelling mystical sciences out there with several good source books. But I've always been perplexed about people having that kind of fear over some cardboard paper cards and pendulums and rocks known as crystals and gemstones. They're simply conceptual tools to show what the vibration and energy is saying. Simply put, storytellers. Still keeping it fluid and not locked into a conditional energy field, but nonetheless storytellers. But I digress. Let me reel it in, switch gears a little bit so I can attempt to drive the point home, if you will. Okay, Buckminster Fuller, and yes, I say his name a lot because I think the man was brilliant, and I consider his work to be a mentor of mine. And I love that he refused to accept conformity. He got kicked out of Harvard for not conforming, but I think his work completely surpasses all of that, and then some. Just brilliant work. But Fuller reminded us that all children are born geniuses, and they quickly lose it because of the way the educational system is designed. Sounds like he and Napoleon Hill must have been talking. But he explained that the educational system breaks down inherently holistic concepts into elementary topics. Is he lying? I don't think so. I used to homeschool my kid, and we'd spend 6-7 hours, sometimes even more, not looking at a textbook, but we'd look for examples opposite of the textbook. We go on YouTube to see if there was a video or a story giving more context. We'd go outside in the real world and see if we could find an example of what we had just read and learned. But we tried to take in things so we could have several different perspectives to go off of, not just one. And trying to incorporate it, not just in the physical aspect, but our best to tap into mind and spirit with the learning experience. Instead of segmenting and breaking it down, okay, this goes over here and this over here, we're trying to bring it all together. That's probably why she looked at me sideways when she went back to public school 3 years later. So here's a thought. Maybe we as humans are going to have to become aware of our quote unquote comfort and conformity. Perhaps that means we're going to have to collectively become aware of our comfort to the extent that maybe we can't relate to what others are going through or what others see as an issue or concern. That means stepping outside your little bubble and talking to people outside of your paradigm. You never know how a person can add perspective to your world. You never know if you are carrying an essential component of a solution for another person that he or she may not have even entertained. Sometimes we're so busy holding on to, well, this is my belief, or I belong to this group and this organization and this, and this, that, and you don't, so blah, 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 that perhaps we are missing out on the wholeness of the human experience. That's why I say it was a gift for me to work as a spiritual advisor, because it was a blessing to connect the dots of common denominators from so many different walks of life. I'm Madeline Andrews, also known as the Energy Diva. Check out my website at madelineandrews.com or energydiva.com. That's INNERGDIVA.com, or 12 Degrees Freedom, the number 12, the 2 words degrees, freedom spelled out.com. There you can find my products, services, programs, my email list, and social media links. And always remember, the greatest gift God ever gave us was the gift of mind, not the brain. Give yourself the great gift by tapping into universal mind and open yourself up to the possibilities.